Before I get started with this commentary, let me give a shout out to Professor Black Truth for posting it on his timeline, because this is how I found out about it. And this story is coming out of Los Angeles, California, or wherever the Torrance Police Department is. If someone lives in California, please let me know exactly what city that is if LA is incorrect. But the reason why I'm talking about them today is because there was some text messages that got out that were traded between various police inside of the Torrance Police Department, in which those text messages were both racist and homophobic. It could have been some other stuff in there too, but those were the two heaviest ones as far as what they discovered came out about it. Now, they didn't pinpoint it to just one officer or another because it was so many. That's just how bad it was. And they said that these text messages could jeopardize hundreds of cases. Now, this is not surprising to any of us, because a lot of the times when these kind of text messages are recovered, it literally has a lot of bias inside of them, which is why they act in the way that they do when it comes to black people or other, groups, but I'm gonna focus on us. And that's what makes us say, okay, they need to go back and reinvestigate these cases, or they need to drop them altogether, because it was a clear bias there before they encountered whoever it was that they were making the text messages about. So I'm going to go ahead and read this article that's coming from the LA Times. It was posted December 8, 2021. The caption read, "Hanging with the homies." The picture above it shows several black men who had been lynched. Another photo asks what someone should do if their girlfriend was having an affair with a black man. The answer, according to the caption, was to break a taillight on his car, so the police will stop him and shoot him. Someone else sent a picture of a candy cane, a Christmas tree ornament, a star for the top of the tree, and an enslaved person. Which one doesn't belong? The caption asked. "You don't hang the star," someone wrote back. The comments represent a sliver of a trove of racist text messages exchanged by more than a dozen current and former Torrance police officers and recruits. Keep in mind, this is happening in California. So for people who always think when it comes to the topics of lynchings and things that you would think would be commonly attached to the South during that time period, think again. Remember, when in my Sundown series, I covered the state of California, and it was a lot of stuff that was in the state of California that went down back during those times, lynchings included. And look at the text message that they're sending. One would think, to the ignorant mind, you would think that these text messages being exchanged came from a Southern police department. But no, this is coming from the far West Coast in California. Through interviews with sources with direct knowledge of the investigation, public records, requests, and a review of District Attorney's Office records, the Times examined some of the contents of the until now secret text and identified a dozen Torrance police officers under investigation for exchanging them. And you know what? Something just tells me that nothing's going to happen to them. After all, we don't even know their names. They just know that it happened within this department. The broad scope of the racist text conversations, which prosecutors said went on for years, has created a crisis for the Torrance Police Department and could jeopardize hundreds of criminal cases in which the officers either testified or made arrests. California Attorney General Rob Bonta said Wednesday his office will investigate the department in the wake of the scandal. The officers' comments spared no color or creed. They joked about gassing Jewish people, assaulting members of the LGBTQ community, using violence against suspects, and lying during an investigation into a police shooting, according to District Attorney's Office records reviewed by the Times. That part right there, they said lying about during an investigation into a police shooting. That's all the more reason why not only do they need to thoroughly examine all these text messages, but they need to bring forward, make public the people who were sending them, and put them on full display. Put them on the Summer Jam screen. Frequently, hateful comments were targeted at black people. Officers called black men savages and several variations of the N-word. According to documents reviewed by the Times, the officers also shared instructions on how to tie a noose and a picture of a stuffed animal being lynched inside Torrance Police headquarters. I wonder if that stuffed animal was a monkey. Now notice here it says frequently hateful comments were targeted at black people, which means that not to disparage all the other groups they talked about, but black people were their primary focus. They just sprinkled those other groups in there. Then they followed up, officers called black men. So now we have narrowed it down not only to a race of people, but also people by gender within that race. See, even when they talk about other groups of people, we are always their primary focus. What have I told y'all? They are not far removed from their ancestry. I stand firmly by that quote to this day. While no officers currently face criminal charges, of course, in direct relation to the text messages, the racist exchanges have led to the dismissal of at least 85 criminal cases involving the officers implicated in the scandal. That's fine and all, but they still need to dismiss them as well. And when I say dismiss, I mean fire, and I really mean fire, not to the point where they get transferred to another department. I'm talking about fired as in they can't even go anywhere in the state or in the nation in that fact to get another job as a cop. I mean, if they're not going to get them on a hate crime charge, oh, but that's right. They don't have hate crime charges on the books for black people, so that would be kind of hard. Notice they didn't talk about Asians. I didn't hear them say anything about Asians in their lineup of people they were talking about. County prosecutors had, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some Asian cops that was involved with it. County prosecutors had tossed 35 felony cases as of mid-November, and the Torrance City Attorney's Office has dismissed an additional 50. In total, the officers were listed as potential witnesses in nearly 1,400 cases in the last decade, according to district attorney records. The Times obtained through a public records request. The officers did not necessarily testify in each case, so it's unclear how many of those cases could be affected. Still, in the span of 1 week in November, the Los Angeles County Public Defender's Office received about 300 letters from prosecutors disclosing potential misconduct by officers implicated in the scandal, said Judith Green, an office spokesperson. Prosecutors are reviewing dozens of additional cases linked to the officer, said Diana Tarrant, who a special advisor to Los Angeles County District Attorney George Gasson. The review will prioritize active cases in which a defendant is still in custody and one of the officers implicated in the scandal was a material witness. So that could be, for example, a single police officer is in a patrol car and sees an individual on the sidewalk and then says he had a bulge in his pocket, and then he pats him down and then recovers a gun, Torrance said. Without that officer, you couldn't prove that case. Since 2013, the group of officers identified by the Times has been involved in at least 7 serious use of force incidents in Torrance and Long Beach, including 3 that ended in the deaths of black and Latino men, according to police use of force records and court filings. Although the officers' actions were found to be justified in each case, experts say those cases should be re-examined in the context of hateful messages. What those text messages revealed as was an extraordinarily hostile attitude toward people. Let me phrase this. This is what they're about to say is their words, not mine. They said toward people of color, people who are non-binary, people who have different sexual orientations, said Walter Katz, a former independent police auditor in California who now serves as vice president of criminal justice for research firm Arnold Ventures. I don't know that we can take anything they've said at face value. 2 of the officers under investigation as a part of the scandal, Anthony Chavez and Matthew Concannon, are also under investigation for the controversial 2018 slaying of Christopher DeAndre Mitchell, a black car theft suspect they fatally shot while he was holding an air rifle. Chavez and Concannon were cleared of wrongdoing by former District Attorney Jackie Lacey, but the case is one of several that Gasson has hired a special prosecutor to review for possible criminal charges. Several of the officers have also been named as defendants in lawsuits alleging excessive force, false arrest, and wrongful death, court filings show. In some of those cases, the plaintiffs are members of the same ethnic groups the officers espouse hatred for in the text. Gasson has already publicly identified 2 of the men involved in the scandal as former officers Cody Weldon and Christopher Tomsick, who were charged in August with conspiracy and vandalism for allegedly spray painting a swastika inside a vehicle. When Gasson charged Officer David Chandler with assault in the late August for allegedly shooting an armed man in the back, Sources told the Times that Chandler was also under investigation as part of the scandal. In addition to Weldon, Tomsic, and Chandler, the Times has reviewed district attorney records detailing racist texts or images shared by 6 other police officers: Blake Williams, Brian Kawamoto, Joshua Satterfield, Omar Alonzo, Christopher Allen Young, and Long Beach police officer Maxwell Schroeder, who was a former Torrance Police recruit. Concannon Chavez and fellow Torrance police officers Andrew Kissinger and Enrique Villegas are also under investigation as part of the scandal. According to 3 people with direct knowledge of the case in a review of district attorney records, the Times did not independently review documentations of racist text messages sent by any of those 4 officers, though the newspaper did review a document that showed Concannon sent messages that are part of the investigation. The identities of all 13 officers named in this article were confirmed by 3 people with direct knowledge of the case and by reviewing district attorney records that detail some of the officers' comments. Those people spoke on the condition of being anonymous so they could candidly discuss an ongoing investigation. The text messages were not on one continuous thread, according to 2 of the sources. Additional officers received the text, but did not interact with them in any way. So they were not considered under investigation, those sources said. The exact number of officers involved in the scandal is unclear. Sergeant Mark Ponagalic, a Torrance Police spokesman, could not confirm or deny the identities of the officers involved, but said 15 had been placed on administrative leave in relation to the scandal. Of course. That number did not include Tomsic, Weldon, or Schroeder, he said. The Times identified 13 officers in its investigation, including Tomsic, Weldon, and Schroeder, meaning there are additional 5 Torrance officers under investigation whose identities remain unknown to the public. A Long Beach police spokesman said Schroeder was assigned to desk duty pending the outcome of an internal investigation, but would not say why. That also doesn't surprise me that they're doing an internal investigation too. The officers either declined to comment through their attorneys or did not respond to messages left by the Times at their homes or through their union, the Torrance Police Officers Association, which represents rank and file officers. An attorney for the union said the officers were barred from commenting on the investigation. The current administrative investigations are confidential. As such, we do not have access to the facts of the underlying investigation or the alleged inappropriate materials. We expect that as police officers, our members should be treated like any other citizen, considered innocent until proven guilty, the union said in a statement. Our members have a right to due process and should be protected from illegal and unnecessary intrusion into their private lives. The thing about that statement is they did the complete opposite of to actual people. So now you're asking for the same thing that they did not present to others. Now I could continue to read this going on, but it's a very long article and I'll be reading forever. But I think y'all pretty much get the idea of what this is. It's just that they're going all the way back to their through a huge backstory, but there's a lot more to read. I didn't realize how long I was still reading this article until I looked at the time on the screen. But what I'll do is if y'all want to read the rest of the article, I'll pin it in the comments and y'all can read the rest of it because it goes into some more stuff as well. But y'all pretty much get the point. I just don't want to drag this video along. But yeah, this right here, what I read, is not so surprising at all. It's not surprising, period, that this happened. There are several more departments in America that are doing the exact same thing. I swear, if they didn't follow the same script for anything else, they definitely follow it for this. And like I said, don't think that racism is just in the South. Don't think it is just a Southern thing, because it is not. It is definitely a global concept. But since we are in the States, we'll just limit it to right here for right now. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. And also, if you live in the state of California, did you even know that this was going on?